Hello and welcome to this crochet tutorial on how to make these men's slippers designed to fit a foot of size 11 or 12. These slippers have a graphghan design in it and is similar to the slippers that in a tutorial that I had offered once before. Come with me as we go on to this journey of making these slippers for the man in your life. Come on, let's go. But before we start our tutorial, I'd like to point out that these slippers are being made as a gift for my 1000th subscriber. I asked him what he would like, and he told me he would like a pair of slippers with his initials on them. So, to my subscriber, I say thank you for subscribing to my channel. Now, let's move on with our tutorial. Hello and welcome to this crochet tutorial on how to make this small graph slipper. This is a gift for my 1000th subscriber. I got his foot measurement, and I made him a sample, and it fits him wonderfully. So I'm going to show you how to make this. You don't have to use this particular graph. I will supply the graph in the video, and I'm going to show you how to make this slipper, and you're going to be amazed at how nice it is. It does have a smaller hole opening than a regular slipper, but because of the size of the design, we made it so that it fit. Plus he has a very large foot. This will fit a size 11 to 12 men's foot. I will be using a pair of scissors. I have a crochet hook here that's a size H8, 5.00 millimeter. We're definitely going to be using a large eye tapestry needle. And I have some yarn here. This is not gray. It is a light cream kind of grayish color. I'm only going to be using a small amount for the graph work. I have some red with black specks in it. I love this yarn. You can get this at Hobby Lobby, and the color is called Red Tweed. Here I have some black. This is by Red Heart Super Saver, and I have Red Heart Super Saver in Gray Heather. We will not be using a lot of all of these yarns, so it would be also great for making a scrap yarn. I encourage you to be patient as you do this graph, and we are not going to be doing the graph like a normal graphghan type crochet would be. I will explain more as we get the video going. So let's get started, and let's make our second slipper for this 1000th subscriber that I have. Let's get going. Now this was the graph that was given to me, so if you want to use the same one that I am doing, it is 17 blocks across and 22 blocks up. This is the size of the graph that we're using for these large slippers. So to show you how we're going to be using this particular graph, we will be starting down here. I am right-handed, so I will be starting down here in the bottom right corner. You'll see our first row is all one color. Then after we complete this row, we will cut our yarn and leave about a 2-inch tail. We will start again over here at row 2 with a standing single crochet, and then we will do what the graph suggests in the colors. When we get to the end of the row, we will finish it off, leave a 2-inch tail, and cut it. And we will start again. I found this to be easier because of the small design. If you go back the other direction, I found that it didn't give the actual coloring that I wanted so that the design would show up the way it was. Now, if you prefer to do the Tanzanian crochet, I encourage it, but this is just to show you how to do single crochet in a small graph form for this particular slipper. So let's go ahead and get started. So let's begin. We're going to start with a slip knot. Let me change my light here so we can see a little bit better. We're going to start with a slip knot on our hook. And your tail needs to be at least 2 to 3 inches. Not very long, but just enough to make sure that we have enough. Okay, since our graph shows 17 blocks, we are going to chain 17 plus 1. The plus 1 is to go up to the next row. So let's go ahead and chain 18. After you have chained your 18, we're going to make a single crochet in the second chain from the hook. The first one is the one that's already completed, not the one on the hook. So we're going to go into this one right here. And complete one single crochet for each chain all the way to the end of the row. When you get to the end, make sure that you have 17 chains, and I'll show you how to finish the row. As you can see, mine kind of curled up. It's okay. It's okay. Trust me, it's okay. Don't worry about it. So after you've made sure that you have 17 single crochets, let's take our scissors. We're only going to leave a short tail, 2-3 inches. Go ahead and cut it, and then just pull it through, and then snug it up. And so here we have completed our first row. So let's move on to our second row. We're going to start with a small tail. Place another slip knot on your hook, and each row now is going to start the same way with a standing single crochet. So let's go back to our first single crochet here. We have a slip knot on our hook. Insert our hook into the top 2 loops and pull up a loop. Oops, I snagged one. Make sure you picked up the whole strand of that yarn, not bits and pieces like I just did. It does happen. There we go. So now we have 2 loops on our hook. Yarn over and pull through both of them. Okay, so I'm gonna use this pattern because I don't have a printer. My printer broke. So according to this, we have 4 that need single crochet. So here's 1, 2, 3. Now on our 4th one, we're going to have a color change. So go ahead and pull the loop up. Now this is, we're just going to drop that. Let me move this out of the way so it doesn't confuse you. Just let it drop. The next color I'm going to be using is red. So let me find the end of my red. Just have a little tail. Place a fold of the yarn over the hook and pull it through. And then tighten your white up so that it looks the same as the other single crochets in the row. Then I'm going to take both of these as I go across. They'll be known as my carry yarns or my tail or whatever they're going to be coming behind. Now my pattern, my graph pattern shows 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 red. So I'm going to go into the next one, pull up a loop, and I'm going to be going over all of those yarns as well. Now this first one, you don't want your first loop too long, so go ahead and snug it up while you're still there. So I have 1, there's 2, 3, 4. Now if you choose, you can let the red drop and we will cut this later, but we need to carry the white. There's 5. 6. 7, and here's number 8. So we're going to pull up a loop, we're going to drop our red behind us and pick up our white and carry that white through those 2 loops right there. And of course we want to take our red and snug it up just a little bit, and then you'll see the rest of our row is going to be white, as we see here. So let's carry on and do all white. Do not carry the red with you, just let it drop. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so we're at the end of our row. Do not cut the red, but we will cut the white. So I'm going to pull out some white here, find my scissors that have disappeared, go ahead and cut it and pull it through. Now all of these yarns will add a collection as we do our crochet. And so I did want to point out to you, you'll notice here that these stitches will be longer, and that's okay. This is going to help hold all of that down. They're all double crochets through this right here. Okay? So I'm going to encourage you to continue on with the graph that I showed you earlier. Go back to it and pause the video, and you're going to start it the exact same way. You'll notice here that on the edge we do have 1 row of white, because if we did the red, it would have gotten lost when we joined the square to the actual side of the slipper. So you will start with a standing single crochet, but you will pull the red yarn through to complete that first single crochet, and then do as the rest of the graph shows for the rest of the row. Go ahead and do that. This will take you some time. It took me about 2 hours, so please be patient with it. And I will see you either making more suggestive tips as I do this or at the end of it. And also make sure that every row has the 17 single crochets. That way you don't have to take it apart, which is no fun. So let's get started. And I think I might have to show you the next row before before I stop, because I left you hanging with the red. So let me put another single crochet on my hook, and I'll show you what to do with the red to carry the red over. So please forgive me, I come from the generation of paper and I forgot to use my abilities with the computer. So we've already completed our second row, as you can see here. So our third row shows we have 2 of our beige color, and then we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of the red, and then the rest is of the beige. So I wanted to show you how I carry my colors across by only using the red that doesn't get cut. So I have a slip knot on my hook. I'm going to go into that very first single crochet and pull up a loop. Try to go over your knots from the previous row. Let's see, keep grabbing the wrong yarn here. Okay, and then complete your single crochet. So on our second one is where we're going to do our color change. So pull up a loop and then stop. Just go ahead and let your white color or your cream color drop. Then pick up your red that's on the other side. And remember, I'm always encouraging you to pull out some extra, so I need to do that now. Now take the red and bring it across. Get all this out of your way. And then pull it through the loop. Okay, now we don't want too much extra, but we do want enough that will allow, as we work stitches over it, to be loose enough so that we have a good tension that'll help maintain the rectangle square that we have. So what I do is I loosely plus a little bit extra. Okay, a little bit extra will always get covered. So here we have that. Now I'm also going to carry my white across, but not every single stitch. But on this first one, to kind of lock it in so that the single crochet here doesn't get stretched out of shape, I'm going to lock that first white one in with the red. So let's go ahead and do our next stitch. 1 single crochet, and then before you move on, make sure you adjust the tension right here. Okay, and since this one's still white, I'm going to carry the white again. Okay, now I'm going to collect the white every 2 to 3 stitches, so I'm just going to let that drop, and then in my next stitch I'm just going to do red. So here's 1 and 2, and then I'm going to go ahead and pick up my white, okay, but we don't want to lose count of what we need here for this row. Let's see, 3, 5, we need 9, so I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's 6. 7, 8, and 9. Okay, so our 9th one is where our color change will be. Now another thing too about doing graphs, please don't rely on the row before to say, oh, I got to stop one before, because if your count is off, you won't notice it till later, but your whole picture could be off. So always count what you need for that particular row. So here we are at the 9th one, I'm going to drop my red, and I'm going to pick up my white, and I'm going to snug up that red just so that it's all the same size, and the rest of my row is going to be beige now, or this cream color. But I also want to count to make sure that I have the right amount. So we have 1, let's see, there's 4, 5, 6. This is set up for 5 squares, so we have 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I know I will have the right amount. Okay, so after we get to the end of this row, go ahead and cut our picture, our yarn. I'm looking at the picture, thinking picture. How crazy of me. And so here we have our 3rd row done. Okay, and since I was talking about the 4th row, see how we have just the 1 right here in our picture? I'm going to show you how to do that, and then I'm going to go ahead and let you go on your own, because that's the correct thing to do. So let's start with another small tail. I really hope you enjoy doing this. You'll find that maybe if someone you know has a size 11 or 12 foot, you could probably use the same size graph but put their initials on it. I'm sure that they will be thoroughly excited seeing that you made them something personalized for them. So here we go. We're going to insert our hook. We're going to draw up a loop, and we can't complete it. Okay, we have just that one, so now we need 3 red. So we're going to grab our yarn from the other side. We're going to bring it all the way across, and we're going to put it into our loop and then snug up that white just a little bit. Okay, and make sure your loop here is not too long so we can tighten it some. There we go, we have a little extra. So we need 3 for this row. So here's 1. I'm carrying the white across. 2. Oops, didn't want to finish that one. Want to drop our red and pick up our white. Okay, and then we're going to come back here and snug up on that red just a little bit. And this time we're still going to carry the red, so we're going to carry 2 reds across, which will be fine because it'll get buried into the red color. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the beige. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and here's the 5th one. Pull up our loop, drop our beige, and pick up our red. You notice how we still have a little bit of play here, which is good. And then snug up that white just a little bit. And then our next row, our next thing shows 2 reds. It's this change of weather, so I've caught in a little throat stuff here. So here's number 1, and here's number 2. I'm still going to pick up that tail. Okay, so here on my red, I'm going to go ahead and drop it and pick up my cream color, pull it through, snug up on that red a little bit. Now the rest of my row is beige, so I should have 4, 5, 6. And I'm not going to carry the red. It's going to stop right there where the red is. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay? So hopefully this will give you some good enough tips that you can go ahead and continue on and finish this. I believe you can do it. Just be patient with it. Also, I want to point out something else to you. It's going to look like it's going to slant this direction. That's okay, because once we put the graph into our crochet, it'll all straighten out. Okay, so go ahead and do this. Take your time with it, be patient with it, and remember not to make your red, when you pull it across, too tight. You don't want it to pucker in really bad. All right, I'll see you when you get to the end of this. We'll do our last row of 17 single crochets. Also, I encourage you to get up and walk around sometimes. If you find it overwhelming, to please put it down, and when you want to come back to it, then work on it. And but this is all supposed to be fun. It's giving of yourself to somebody else as a gift, or for yourself as a gift. I'm sure you'll really enjoy it. I wish you could have seen the look on the guy's face when I showed him this sample one. It was nothing but pure happiness. So go ahead, and I'll meet you at the end, and then after we get this done, the rest of the slippers is going to go by pretty quickly. Okay, so get yourself something to drink, something to eat, stretch your feet, and I'll see you in a few minutes. I wanted to show you my progress. Here I have completed row 8, and no, I didn't stretch and pull. I will point out that yes, it will curl some as we're doing this, but once we put it in place with the slipper, it'll be fine. So here I have my little extra yarns. All of this will fall into play, and here I still got my red attached. So carry on. So here I am. I have completed row 15. We have 6 more rows to go. How's yours looking? I hope it's doing very well. Woo-hoo! That took a little while. Well, this time it didn't take me 2 hours like I thought. But I did sit around and watch a bunch of YouTube videos and some music as I was doing this. My very last row, I still have my red attached. I'm going to go ahead and cut some off here, because our very last row is all the cream color. Oops, sorry. And I see the light shining in on this, but you can see the very last row is our cream color. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off my laptop here so that it's not an interference anymore. And let's go ahead and finish up our very last row. And I'm going to show you how to bring your red tail in part of that last row. And you see I didn't really use that much yarn for the cream color of this as well. So we're going to go ahead and start up with our standing single crochet. So there's 1, 2, 3. We will also, I like to count to make sure that my stitching is accurate. So here we are at our red. I'm going to go ahead and take my red and pull it across. And I'm going to bring that in so that it is part of my last row. so I can finish this off, and this will help eliminate any weaving that we have to do. Now, you'll also notice that your block will curl just a tiny bit. That's okay. I hope that your tension was loose enough, but not too loose, as we were putting this together row by row. And since I've been doing all this talking, I lost count. Oh, my heater just kicked in. So I'm going to leave this a little longer in case my count was off. I don't encourage you to do that. I encourage you to count before you cut. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. All right, we are good to go. After you go ahead and do this, I would like for you to take it and play with it here to encourage the red that you had stretched across to kind of ease itself into place, so that it'll help you to lay it out flat. We're not going to block this, but this will help it to lay a little bit flatter. Once we go ahead and put our stitching around, it'll lay totally flat. So let's go ahead and take note of our next color. This one for my slipper will be the gray. So when we begin with this gray, I'm encouraging you to leave a 6 to 8 inch tail to be used for weaving in after we're finished with our slipper, or you can do it as you go along. On the top left-hand corner, we're going to make a slip stitch in that very last single crochet top row stitch. Okay, let's snug it up so we have no loose ends. Then we're going to chain 25. 1, 2, 3. Continue on, and I'll meet you after 25, so please pause your video. After your 25 chains, make sure that it's straight, and let's bring it over to the first single crochet of the row, the very last row. So let's go ahead and insert our hook. Have your work on one side. Oops. Okay. And pull up a slip stitch through all of that. Okay. So we have the foot opening for our slipper. Chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and into the next chain stitch, double crochet. And we're going to do 1 double crochet all the way back to the beginning of our chain right here. Please pause your video. I'll meet you there. You should have 25 double crochets when you get to the end. After we did our 25, we're going to be going down this row here. Now each one of these rows will be where you're going to attach your double crochet. And then these strands that we have here, make sure that each one of them is pulled super snug at the end of the row, and then lay them down. And we're going to place a double crochet over the top of them. So our first one will go basically over that last single crochet into this row right here. So let's go ahead and double crochet. So we're going to be doing 22 down this side. And because of the awkwardness, you might want to encourage your stitching to go over that as well. There we go. So this is going around. This one will be a little time consuming. So I encourage you to take your time, do each one till you get down here to this one right here, where we will create a corner. Please pause your video and go ahead and add these folded down as you get down. Please note that as you get down here, it will get a little bulky, but it'll be okay. When you get to the end of the row, it's going to look like it's a little stretched. It's okay, it'll all work together. So here I have placed in 22 double crochets and I am at my corner. But before we move on, let's go ahead and turn it over, and you'll see a lot of little loops and stuff. Take what's left down here and pull those loops so that they're flush. The idea behind keeping as much of the bulk as possible was to kind of give it like a framing around the design. If you choose you don't really want that framing and stuff, there's also where you could go a couple of stitches and cut it, a couple of stitches and cut it. Like some of these right here where there's quite a bit of bulk, I'm going to pull some of those excess out and go ahead and cut those off. But this right here, trying to find, here we go. Looks like they're hidden inside the bottom here. So I'm going to go ahead and pull those. Okay, so go ahead and make sure that yours is kind of smooth. If you got a bulk like this, try to find where it's at down here. Let's go ahead and do that first, and then we'll go around the corner. So to go around the corner, we're going to go over what's left of some of our bulk here. And in that same space, we're going to do 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so as we go this way, we want to keep pulling until we get a little bit about halfway. And then we're going to slide this down. And whatever we get over this way, we're going to start bringing it back so that you can have that little bit of ridge to kind of help the design pop out just a little bit. Across here, we should have 17 double crochets. In this corner right here, we're going to place 3 double crochets and then come back down here with the 22 till we get to where we slip stitched at the first one. So go ahead and do that. Please be patient with it. If you don't really want too much bulk, just check to see which ones are your last strands so that you can at least make sure that they have a tail that will be underneath it, and you can clip this off as you go along. So go ahead and do that, and I'll meet you right here. Please pause your video. When you get to the end of the row, double check to make sure it's flat, and then slip stitch into the top of the chain 3, and then chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, before we move on, let's go ahead and make sure that, like some of mine I didn't catch, but we're going to stretch them all down, and then anything that's considered excess, we're going to go ahead and cut that off. This red one here, it's already in, so we can go ahead and cut that off. and we can take our gray and weave it in to our stitching here. So let's clean up our loose ends and then we'll move on. It's starting to look like it's getting somewhere, isn't it? Okay, so on our next row, we're going to be starting right here, and we're going to go all the way around until we get down here to where our corner is. When we get to that corner, I'm going to show you what to do to decrease the bulk that we have across our toe. So for each stitch around till you get to that first corner, we're going to do 1 double crochet, like so, until we get to the corner area right here. I'll meet you there. Please pause your video. So as you come up to the corner here, the third one, which is the center one, we're going to be placing 3 double crochets in that stitch. So if you're not there yet, just do 1 per stitch. So here's 1, 2, 3 in the same stitch. All right. And as we're going to go across here for the toe, we're going to help it to curl in just a little bit to give us the curvature that we're going, whoops, sorry, I'm out of camera view, to give it the curvature that we're going to end up getting. So this particular row, we're going to go 3 double crochets, 3 double crochet together, 1 double crochet, 3 double crochet together, 1 double crochet, 3 double crochet together, and then the rest until we get to the center of that corner again, which should be 3 or 4. Okay, so let's do that. So we're going to do 3 single double crochets, 1 per stitch. Okay, so to do a 3 double crochet together, yarn over, we're going to pick up a stitch, yarn over through the 2 and stop. Yarn over, pick up a loop, pull through 2 and stop. So we have 3 loops. We're going to do this one more time. So we have half of a completed double crochet. So we have 4 loops on our hook. We're going to pull through all and kind of snug it up and tighten. In our next stitch, we're just going to do 1 double crochet. You can see already how it's starting to pull it over, because taking out those extra stitches is going to help a lot. And now we're going to do it one more time. So yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over through 2 loops on the hook and stop. Wrap the yarn over the hook again, pull up a loop, yarn over through 2. We've completed half of 2. One more. Okay, so let's go ahead and pull it all the way through and snug up your tension. Okay, and then 1 double crochet. We're going to do this one more time. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. There we go, snug it up. So we're not at the center of our corner yet. Here it is over here. So I did 1, 2, and 3. Here's 2 and 3 singles. So in the center of our 3, right here in the corner, we're going to go ahead and place 3 double crochets. Okay, and you can see how it's already starting to make a change in its appearance already. How it's given that curvature that we're needing for our look already. I'm sure you see it on yours as well. Now we're going to go all the way down till we hit our chain 3. We're going to slip stitch into the top, and well, get to the last double crochet and I'll show you how to change colors at the slip stitch to the top. So go ahead and double crochet all the way down and I'll meet you there. Now the best way to change colors is at the beginning of any row, but to make it easier, we're going to take our gray and we're going to drop it, pick up your next color, pull it through, make sure you have a good sized tail on it, pull it through the top of the chain and the one on the end. Okay, but don't cut your gray yet. Okay, and then we're going to chain 3 because that's the beginning of our next row. Now I'd like for you to carry the tail of the black and the gray across, and we're going to start with our double crochets on top of it. Go ahead and do about, sorry for the abrupt end, my battery died. Okay, so we're going to do about 10 stitches here. That'll go over those tails. And that'll hold them in place right there. Okay, so take the gray one and the black one and you can go ahead and cut them close. Put that back in the skein. And let's see what we're going to be doing here on this first row. So on this first row, you can see that we just have straight double crochet all the way around. So this row of our crochet for this particular row is straight double crochet all the way around. And let me pull out my book. You see how prepared I am today. I ought to be ashamed of myself. Should be 86 stitches. So we're going to have 86 double crochets all the way around on this particular row. We're going to slip stitch at the top of the chain 3 and chain 3, and then I'll tell you what to do next. I'll meet you there. The second row of the black will consist of 1 double crochet all the way around, so that we will have a total of 86 for the second time. So this first row is 86, now the second row will be 86. Continue around, and then we will start our decreasing rows, which we are almost done. After completing that second black row, which I know you're probably cussing at me for using black yarn, but this is a gift. What I'd like for you to do is to take where the chain stopped and started at the white point or the cream color and fold it in half, and then go to where the black area is, the last row we just completed, and basically take a visual marker. If you have to, you can use your needle. Hopefully it won't have a point on it. I don't want you to hurt yourself. And take note that this will be the center of what we're going to be doing. So we're going to crochet up to, here's the center stitch, here's one, so we're going to stop so we have 1 stitch left over, which is about 10, 11, 12 stitches. So let's go ahead and do those up to where we have that one undone. We're going to stop at this 1 stitch before. Okay, So do your straight double crochet to there, and I'll see you in a second. So the next stitch that we're going to do is the 3 double crochet together. So let's go ahead and take out our needle. So yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over through just the 2 loops and stop. We are going to be making a decrease with this particular stitch. So here we have our second one, and here's our third one. Okay, so let's go ahead and pull through all those loops and snug it up. And then let's place a couple of double crochets in here so that we have a nice smooth work area without having to worry about if our last cluster here came apart. So let's flip put your hook down, flip the slipper around to the front, and we're going to take this and fold it in half and find the center. Well, you'll find that the center does have a DC3 together, so we're going to go up straight from that, which will be this 1 double crochet here. Okay, so we're going to do single crochet, double crochet all the way up here, 1 per stitch, and then over these 3 we'll do the 3 double crochet together, and then all the way around and slip stitch into the top of the chain 3. Go ahead and let's get that far, and after this we'll have 2 more rows to go. See you then. Please pause your video. I lowered my lighting so hopefully you can see this quite a bit better. Let's go ahead and take our needle or a marker and mark the center of the DC3 together. Then I would like for you to count over 3, because we are going to place another decrease here of the 3 together. The one that has the needle in it will only get 1 double crochet, and then the 3 after will get another decrease. So if we count how many stitches that we're going to have to do single, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, we're going to do 9 double crochets, DC3 together, 1 double crochet, and DC3 together. After we do that, we will go to the front as well, where our DC3 together is right here, and do the same thing on both sides. Let's go ahead and do this row, and I will see you for 1 more row of our crochet. You ready to get started on our very last row? I know you are, right? So this row is going to be a little bit different, so let's go ahead and do about 5 of them, of just the regular double crochets. What I'm going to get at is that we are going to do 3 double crochets together as part of our final row, and you'll see that it'll be super simple when we have to place our seam in. So here we have our 1, and that will be considered the center of one of our 3 double crochets together. So we'll count that as number 2. Start going to the right, number 1. Then we got 1, 2, 3. So I have 1 more to do. So I'm going to go ahead and start my 3 double crochets together. Okay, so here's our another decrease. We've made plenty of decreases in this pattern, haven't we? Let's do another one. Here our second stitch. See, it's right there where that one stitch is at. Okay, we have 3. I don't know if you can hear the wind through my audio of this video, but it is very, very windy outside. Okay, so let's start our third one. Okay, so we have our 3. Let's go ahead and close that one off. So we'll start so that we can have our regular ones without any chance of it coming apart. So what we're going to do is 1 double crochet all the way down, and when we get here we're going to do the exact same thing again. We have our 1 between the 2, 3 double crochets together, so this will be considered number 2, number 1, 1, 2, 3. So you will stop your single and then start the triple 3 double crochets together. You'll do that 3 times, so you have 1, 2, and 3. And once you get down here to the end of the row, slip stitch, slip stitch it closed, but do not cut your yarn. I'll go ahead and tell you how much you'll need so that we can sew this bottom up. So continue to do that, and I'll meet you in a few minutes. Please pause your video. So at the end of this row, I would like for you to pull out quite a bit of yarn, probably about 20 inches or so, because we want to do a double row of sewing here. And instead of adding yarn that could possibly have a knot and make it uncomfortable for the wearer, we're going to go ahead and just make a long yarn. Let's go ahead and cut that and then pull it through. Okay, so we have our right side out. Let's go ahead and turn it inside out and bring our 2 points straight so that where our stitching will be is actually about 6 or 7 stitches from the center here. Because if you notice, when we got the 3 on one side, the 3 in the middle, and the 3 on the other side, it actually creates like a fold in right there. So we're going to place those 2 together like that. Okay, let me show you how I thread my needle. I know a lot of people like to take it and do this number. I don't do it that way because I don't want it to fray. So I take it and put it between my 4 fingers, bring the needle up from behind, squeeze the yarn tightly around that needle and pull it out. You will have a folded section of yarn there, and you can just work it through the eye of your needle. You're going to want to make your tail a little long, not too long, so that it interferes with your actual stitching. And we're going to go down the short way first. So where it's folded here, you want to go directly across, and you want to pick up the two parts of that stitch. And then you're just going to come straight across, and we're basically doing what is known as a whip stitch. You don't want it to be too tight, but you do want it to be snug. And then go to the next set of stitches and go across. Okay, and then we're going to keep on going all the way down. And remember not to pull it too tight, but we're going to double row this. So it's going to be kind of like having a X on the bottom, but that'll help with the sturdiness of holding this stitching shut. And also, if you notice that when you run your hands over it, you don't feel no bulk there. This is in the center bottom of the foot. Okay, so here I am at the last one. I'm going to go through it one more time. And now I'm just going to go back over the same stitching and holes that I went through. So it'll look, can you see where it looks like a little X on this side? On the outside, it'll look just like two straight lines. So I'm going to encourage you to go ahead and complete it all the way down, and then come all the way back here, weave your ends in here, and then we are complete. So here is the completed slipper. You can see how we have a nice seam back here. If you run your hand over it, you really can't even tell where it's at. So thank you for joining with me in this video today. I did want to point out that any design you put in here, I know will look super nice. This is the design that I was given. So thank you for joining me. I hope this tutorial had enough explanation to make it so that it was simple enough and a good step-by-step tutorial because of the graph and starting and stopping. I know that's not what you normally do, but I wanted to keep the pattern as with the color as much as possible. So until next time, my name is Garnet. My crochet channel is Garnet is a Jewel. I really hope that you come back. Please subscribe. That way you can see what else I have to offer. There is a notification bell on the side. If you click that and see where it says all, I post once, sometimes twice a week. I plan on having a giveaway coming up, and we'll see how that goes. So till then, bye-bye and happy crocheting.